Beneath the earth we walk, beneath layers of soil, stone, and time, lie the stories of our ancestors. Stories written not in words, but in bones, in DNA, in the fragile remains of lives that have long since vanished, waiting for us to uncover them. Every bone tells a story. Every fragment of DNA carries whispers from the past. Bioarchaeology and archaeogenetics, fields at the intersection of biology, history, and technology, are unlocking secrets that were once thought lost forever. Secrets of migration, disease, diet, even the relationships between ancient peoples. Did you know DNA extracted from a single tooth can reveal where a person's ancestors traveled thousands of years ago? Can a fragment of bone tell us if a civilization was struck by famine, war, or epidemic? These silent witnesses are revealing a past that is more interconnected than we ever imagined. In the past decade alone, advances in ancient DNA analysis have transformed our understanding of humanity. Over 10,000 ancient genomes have been sequenced, reshaping what we know about the spread of agriculture, the rise of empires, and the blending of human populations across continents. Bioarchaeology reveals more than dates and numbers. A skeleton unearthed in Germany showed evidence of a healed wound, telling us that communities care for their injured. A DNA fragment in Siberia linked modern populations across Asia and Europe, proving that ancient humans were far more connected than we had imagined. Each discovery is a bridge between past and present, reminding us that history is not just a story in books. It is written in our very bodies. These bones, these fragments, are more than science. They are echoes of human resilience, love, tragedy, and survival. Each discovery connects us to lives that walked the same earth, felt the same sun on their faces, and dreamed the same dreams. Bioarchaeology does not just tell us who we were, it teaches us who we are. In the bones beneath our feet, and in the DNA inside ourselves, lies the story of humanity itself. A story of survival, migration, connection, and discovery. As science peels back the layers of time, we are reminded that we are not separate from our past, but a continuation of it. Every fragment, every gene, every ancient skeleton whispers a single truth. We are all part of a vast, unbroken chain of life, and the secrets of yesterday may yet guide the world tomorrow. Beneath the soil we walk on, beneath the streets we travel, and beneath the fields we cultivate, there exists a silent record of our past. Bones, teeth, and fragments of skeletons lie hidden, waiting for the patient hand of scientists to uncover them. These are not just remains, they are storytellers. Every curve of a bone, every mark of wear, every hidden fracture carries a message from someone who lived centuries, sometimes even millennia, before us. It is through these remains that bioarchaeology opens a window into lives long gone, allowing us to see the human story in a way that no book, no painting, and no artifact alone could ever fully convey. Imagine standing on an archaeological site, the wind sweeping across the excavation pit. In the soft earth, a faint outline appears, a skull, partially exposed, resting in the same position as held for thousands of years. There's a sense of awe in that moment. This is more than discovery. It is a conversation across time. Scientists brush away the dust and soil with meticulous care, as if even the slightest misstep could erase history itself. Every brushstroke, every careful movement, is a dialogue with the past. And what these bones reveal is often far more than expected. The study of ancient human remains provides answers to questions we never knew we had. Who were these people? What did they eat? How did they live? Were their lives long and healthy? Or were they cut short by disease, famine, or conflict? Bioarchaeologists examine skeletal structures for clues, uncovering signs of nutrition, illness, and even repetitive motions that reveal the type of work a person performed. For example, certain bone shapes can suggest that someone spent years bending over fields or lifting heavy loads, while other features might indicate a life spent hunting or carrying weapons. Even small details, such as the wear patterns on teeth, can tell us whether a community relied on grains, hunted animals, or had access to trade goods. Each skeleton then becomes a biography, a life story written not in words, but in the language of the human body. In some cases, these discoveries challenge everything we thought we knew about the past. Take, for instance, burial practices, the way people were buried, the position of their bodies, the objects placed beside them. All of these provide insight into social structures, beliefs, and rituals. A simple clay pot or a piece of jewelry can reveal not only wealth and status, but also the care and attention given to the dead. Across different continents and cultures, the remains tell varied tales. Some speak of grandeur, others of hardship. Together, they create a mosaic of human experience, showing us the astonishing diversity and resilience of our species. The work of bioarchaeologists is not limited to digging and examining bones. It is a combination of patience, observation, and scientific skill. Before any excavation begins, extensive surveys are conducted to understand the context of the site. Every layer of soil is mapped, every artifact logged, and every bone recorded. This careful approach ensures that the story remains intact. Even the tiniest fragment can provide crucial information about climate, disease, or migration patterns. One piece of a rib, one tooth, or even a fragment of skull can unlock secrets that rewrite the history of entire regions. Beyond the science, there is a deeply human element. Handling ancient bones is a moment of reflection, a connection with lives that have shaped the world we live in today. Scientists often describe the experience as humbling. There is a sense of responsibility, an obligation to honor the dead, to preserve their story, and to share it with the world. The past is no longer distant. It becomes tangible, immediate, and profoundly moving. The revelations uncovered through bioarchaeology have far-reaching implications. They inform us about the origins of diseases, the evolution of human anatomy, and the development of early societies. By understanding how our ancestors lived, we gain insight into modern challenges, such as nutrition, health, and social behavior. In a very real sense, these ancient remains are not only about history, they are about us. They remind us of the fragile, yet enduring nature of human life. And they inspire a deeper appreciation for the countless generations who came before. Every excavation is a journey of discovery, filled with suspense and revelation. When a previously unknown skeleton emerges from the earth, it is like opening a book whose pages have been locked for centuries. And as each layer of soil is removed, a story unfolds, one of survival, struggle, ingenuity, and humanity. These bones do more than speak to the past. They challenge us to think about our place in the story of life itself. They invite us to wonder, to question, and to imagine the faces, voices, and experiences of people who once walked the same earth we tread today. In the end, bioarchaeology is a bridge between the present and the past. It allows us to witness history in the most intimate way possible, not through monuments or texts, but through the very bodies of those who lived it. Every skeleton tells a story, every fragment holds a secret, and every discovery reminds us of the intricate tapestry of human life. The earth beneath our feet is not silent. It hums with the echoes of those who came before, and through the work of bioarchaeologists, those echoes are finally heard. Bones tell stories, but DNA whispers secrets that reach even further back, weaving a thread through generations and across continents. Archaeogenetics is the science that listens to those whispers, reading the code of life preserved in ancient remains. Imagine holding a fragment of bone, a single tooth, or even a tiny piece of hair, and realizing that within it lies a record of ancestry, migration, and the very essence of who a person was. This is not science fiction. This is reality. And the discoveries are changing the way we understand human history. The first step in archaeogenetics is careful extraction. Ancient DNA, often fragmented and delicate, requires the most meticulous handling. Scientists work in specialized labs, isolated from contamination, using tools designed to preserve every strand of genetic material. With each extraction, a story that has been locked away for thousands of years begins to unfold. Even in cases where bones appear fragile or decayed, tiny fragments of DNA can reveal astonishing insights. It is as though time itself is being coaxed to speak. Through the analysis of ancient DNA, we can trace the journeys of entire populations. One bone, unearthed in a remote valley, might reveal that the person's ancestors traveled across vast landscapes, mixing with different communities along the way. DNA provides clues not only about where people came from, but also about how groups interacted. Did they trade? Did they intermarry? Did they migrate because of famine, conflict, or the search for new lands? Every genetic sequence adds a piece to the puzzle of our collective past. The power of archaeogenetics becomes even more apparent when we look at large-scale studies. Thousands of ancient genomes, analyzed over the past decade, have reshaped what we thought we knew about human migration. Populations once considered isolated were, in fact, connected through networks of trade, conquest, and movement. Genetic evidence has revealed that Europe, Asia, and Africa were never as separate as traditional history once suggested. People moved, mixed, and adapted, leaving traces of their journeys in their DNA that speak to both survival and innovation. Ancient DNA can also reveal personal histories that were long thought lost. For example, a fragment of DNA from a burial site might show that a child carried genes associated with immunity to certain diseases, suggesting that communities may have survived epidemics through genetic resilience. Another skeleton may reveal close genetic ties to populations hundreds of miles away, hinting at ancient migrations, intermarriages, or cultural exchanges. These findings are not just scientific. They are profoundly human. They connect us to the lives of individuals who faced challenges, celebrated joys, and shaped the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. The implications of archaeogenetics extend beyond history into the study of human health and evolution. By comparing ancient DNA with that of modern populations, scientists can trace the origins of genetic traits, understand the spread of hereditary diseases, and even uncover how humans adapted to environmental changes over millennia. This research highlights the resilience of our species and the ways in which genetics and environment interact to shape who we are. Every discovery adds another layer to the story of survival, adaptation, and continuity. Perhaps most striking is how archaeogenetics transforms the very way we think about ancestry. It challenges assumptions, surprises us with unexpected connections, and sometimes overturns long-held beliefs. Ancient DNA has revealed that some populations, thought to be completely separate, shared common ancestors thousands of years ago. Others, believed to have originated in one region, may have roots in distant lands. Each finding disrupts our expectations and invites a deeper understanding of the complexity of human history. The work itself requires extraordinary patience and care. Extracting ancient DNA is not a simple task. Every step, from sampling to sequencing, is fraught with challenges. The DNA is often fragmented, degraded, and mixed with environmental contaminants. It takes years of refinement, thousands of trials, and the dedication of scientists who can listen to the faintest echoes of the past and translate them into meaningful stories. And yet, despite these challenges, the rewards are immense. Each successful extraction is like opening a time capsule, revealing lives, families, and communities that have long disappeared from the physical world but remain alive in their genetic imprint. Archaeogenetics also offers a bridge between cultures and generations. By uncovering the ancestry of ancient individuals, it helps communities reconnect with their past, providing a sense of continuity and identity. It reminds us that the story of humanity is shared and interconnected. One population's journey is another's heritage, and one discovery has the power to reshape understanding far beyond the site where it was made. As technology advances, so too does the potential for new revelations. Techniques that were impossible even a decade ago are now routine in leading laboratories. Ancient genomes can be sequenced faster, more accurately, and with greater detail than ever before. This expanding capacity promises to reveal even more about the lives of our ancestors, their movements, their choices, and the biological legacies they left behind. The past is no longer locked away. It is emerging strand by strand, bone by bone, telling a story that is as precise as it is poetic. Ultimately, archaeogenetics is more than a scientific tool. It is a storyteller. Through the lens of DNA, we gain a deeper understanding of the human journey, the connections that bind us, and the resilience that defines us. Every fragment of genetic material is a testament to survival, adaptation, and enduring power of life. And as each discovery is made, the world becomes more intimate, more connected, and infinitely more fascinating. The past is not gone. It lives within us. And through archaeogenetics, it speaks in ways that are impossible to ignore. Bones are more than fragments of forgotten past. They are archives of human life. Each skeleton carries traces of experience, disease, injury, and even the choices a person made while living. By studying these remains, bioarchaeologists can uncover stories that are otherwise lost to history, offering a vivid picture of ancient lives. Imagine holding a femur in your hands and realizing that it carries the imprint of labor, movement, and resilience of a human being who lived thousands of years ago. Every ridge, every joint, every scar is a clue waiting to be interpreted. One of the most revealing aspects of human remains is what they tell us about health and diet. Teeth and bones preserve subtle signs of what people ate, how their bodies grew, and the challenges they faced. For instance, worn teeth or cavities can indicate a diet high in carbohydrates, while certain changes in bone density might reveal malnutrition or vitamin deficiencies. In some cases, scientists have discovered traces of diseases like tuberculosis or arthritis, showing how communities battled illness and how certain conditions shape daily life. Even the smallest signs, a healed fracture, a small infection, can reveal the care, knowledge, and compassion of those around them. A healed bone suggests someone survived a serious injury, often with the help of others, hinting at social structures and the bonds of community. The study of trauma and skeletal remains provides a window into the violence, conflicts, and dangers of the past. Blade marks, embedded arrowheads, and crushed bones tell stories of battle, accidents, or ritual practices. Each mark, carefully examined, can reveal the tools used, the intensity of the force, and sometimes even the intentions behind it. These discoveries give us an understanding not only of the physical challenges people faced, but also the societies they lived in, how they defended themselves, how they punished wrongdoing, and how they honored or feared death. In addition to health and trauma, human remains reveal patterns of work and lifestyle. Repetitive actions leave subtle signatures on bones. For example, an individual who spent decades grinding grain, carrying heavy loads, or engaging in specific craft work will display distinct changes in their skeleton. These physical traces allow bioarchaeologists to reconstruct daily routines and understand the roles people played in their communities. The evidence often surprises. Sometimes, individuals we thought were ordinary reveal extraordinary skill or endurance, painting a fuller picture of life in the past. Burial practices are another key aspect of what human remains reveal. The way people were laid to rest, the position of their bodies, and the objects placed nearby offer insights into culture, beliefs, and values. Some societies buried their dead with jewelry, tools, or personal items, signaling wealth, status, or spiritual significance. Others used collective burials or placed bodies in unique orientations, reflecting communal practices or religious beliefs. By studying these practices alongside skeletal evidence, scientists can uncover the deeper meanings behind death and the ways in which communities honor their ancestors. Bones also provide insight into the social fabric of ancient populations. Age, gender, and genetic traits can reveal patterns of family structure, population growth, and even migration. For instance, high child mortality rates, determined by examining juvenile skeletons, shed light on the hardships of early life and the resilience required to survive. Similarly, evidence of differences in nutrition or workload between individuals may reveal social hierarchies, gender roles, and economic divisions within a community. Human remains, therefore, are not only biological records, but also social documents that reveal how people lived together, struggled together, and survived together. What makes these discoveries truly remarkable is how they bring ancient lives into sharp focus. A skeleton is more than a scientific specimen. It is a life once lived, full of choices, challenges, and experiences. By reading these bones carefully, bioarchaeologists can reconstruct stories that are as intimate as they are universal. One skeleton might tell of a young mother who labored in the fields while raising children, carrying the signs of her daily life in her bones. Another might reveal a skilled warrior, marked by injuries from battles and the burdens of defending a community. These are not just relics. They are reminders of human resilience, creativity, and the bonds that define societies. Moreover, human remains bridge the gap between the past and the present. They connect us with ancestors we never knew, revealing traits, challenges, and adaptations that still resonate today. Every discovery invites reflection. How did these individuals navigate the world around them? What can we learn from their lives, their struggles, and their triumphs? Bones, in their quiet way, remind us that history is not only in books or monuments, but is also written in flesh and marrow, waiting for those willing to listen. Every excavation is an act of storytelling, where fragments of human lives are pieced together to form a larger narrative. When bones are carefully analyzed, when each detail is measured and recorded, the past becomes alive. Communities long vanished, individuals long forgotten, and experiences once buried are transformed into knowledge, empathy, and understanding. These revelations inspire awe and reflection, showing that while centuries may separate us from those who came before, the human experience remains deeply familiar. Our struggles, our joys, and our connections echoing across time. Ultimately, the study of human remains reveals a simple truth. The lives of the past are never truly gone. They persist in the bones beneath our feet, in the shapes of our ancestors, and in the stories their bodies carry. By listening to these silent witnesses, we gain not only knowledge, but also a sense of shared humanity, a reminder that we are part of an unbroken chain of life, and that every individual, no matter how long ago, has a story worth telling. The past is alive, and in each skeleton, it speaks with clarity, depth, and the power to move us in ways both scientific and profoundly human. Human history is a story of movement, connection, and change. For thousands of years, people did not stay in one place. They traveled, they migrated. They crossed mountains, rivers, and deserts, often leaving no written record of their journeys. Yet traces of these movements remain hidden in the most unexpected places, within the very DNA of ancient human remains. Archaeogenetics allows us to read these traces, revealing patterns of migration and interaction that reshape everything we thought we knew about our past. Through careful analysis of ancient DNA, scientists can trace the paths of populations across continents. A fragment of bone from one region may hold genetic markers that link it to communities thousands of miles away. In some cases, individuals buried in Europe carried genes identical to those of populations in Central Asia, suggesting that ancient people traveled far more extensively than previously believed. These journeys were not just physical. They were cultural, social, and sometimes even economic, connecting groups through trade, marriage, and shared survival strategies. The revelations from ancient DNA have overturned long-held assumptions about human isolation. For centuries, historians believed that early societies were mostly local, bound to their immediate environments. Now, evidence shows a different picture. Humans have always moved, mingled, and adapted. Populations once thought separate were, in fact, intertwined through shared ancestry, migrations, and exchanges. These discoveries highlight the complexity of human history, emphasizing that migration is not a modern phenomenon, but a defining feature of our species. Archaeogenetics also reveals how environmental changes shape human movement. During periods of climate stress, such as prolonged droughts, glacial shifts, or rising sea levels, communities were forced to relocate. Bones and DNA from these periods show patterns of adaptation, survival, and interconnection. One skeleton may reveal ancestry from a distant land, suggesting that the individual or their ancestors moved to escape environmental hardship, find fertile lands, or seek safety. Over time, these migrations contribute to the blending of cultures, languages, and technologies, creating the diverse societies we recognize today. Trade and social networks also leave their mark on DNA. Ancient civilizations were rarely isolated. Coastal settlements, river valleys, and crossroads became hubs where ideas, goods, and people converged. DNA evidence shows that merchants, travelers, and settlers left genetic traces far from their homelands, connecting distant populations in ways that written records alone could never capture. These genetic links are a reminder that human history is not simply a series of separate events. It is a tapestry of movement, exchange, and adaptation. In some remarkable cases, ancient DNA has revealed stories of unexpected contact between populations. For example, skeletal remains in northern Europe carry markers linked to regions thousands of miles to the east, while remains in Africa show traces of ancestry from the Mediterranean. These findings tell us that the human journey is a global story, one shaped by curiosity, necessity, and the drive to explore. They challenge us to rethink what we consider local or distant, showing that connection and exchange have always been central to human life. Archaeogenetics also sheds light on the origins of modern populations. By comparing ancient DNA with that of contemporary humans, scientists can trace lineages, identify migrations that shape today's genetic diversity, and even understand the movement of languages, technologies, and cultural practices. For instance, the spread of agriculture in Europe and Asia was not only a story of new crops, but also of people moving, mixing, and sharing knowledge. Ancient DNA reveals that these migrations were often complex, involving multiple waves of movement and interaction, which together created the rich mosaic of cultures we see today. These genetic revelations are not just academic. They are deeply human. They connect us to our ancestors in ways that transcend geography and time. When DNA shows that a person in one region shares ancestry with individuals thousands of miles away, it becomes a story of shared humanity. It reminds us that borders, nations, and divisions are recent constructs, while threads of connection and movement have existed for millennia. Each genetic link is a reminder that we are part of a vast, interconnected web of life that stretches back through countless generations. The process of uncovering these migrations is painstaking. Scientists must carefully extract DNA from fragile remains, sequence it, and compare across populations and regions. Every success tells a story of persistence, collaboration, and discovery, and each discovery brings a past closer, making it vivid, tangible, and compelling. Ancient bones are no longer silent witnesses. They speak to the language of genes, revealing journeys, encounters, and relationships that history alone could not fully explain. Ultimately, the study of human migration through ancient DNA provides perspective on who we are and how we got here. It shows that humans are not bound by place, but defined by movement, connection, and adaptation. It highlights resilience in the face of hardship, the courage to explore the unknown, and the ability to build connections across distances. In tracing the paths of ancient populations, we also trace our own story, a story of curiosity, survival, and shared humanity that continues to unfold with every new discovery. The study of ancient human remains is not just a scientific pursuit. It is a profound responsibility. Every skeleton, every fragment of bone, represents a life that once existed, a story that deserves respect and care. Handling these remains is not merely a technical task. It is an act of connection across time. Bioarchaeologists and archaeogeneticists face the challenge of balancing curiosity with ethics, ensuring that the quest for knowledge never diminishes the dignity of those who came before us. Excavation begins with caution. Before a single bone is removed, careful planning and consultation often take place. Researchers study the site, understanding its historical, cultural, and spiritual significance. In many parts of the world, these remains belong to communities whose descendants still live nearby. Respecting their traditions, beliefs, and feelings is as important as the scientific work itself. Excavation is never just about uncovering bones. It is about honoring the lives they represent. Handling the dead requires precision, patience, and reverence. Scientists wear gloves and work in controlled environments to prevent contamination. Each bone is photographed, measured, and recorded with meticulous care. Even the smallest fragment is treated as a treasure, a window into the past. This careful process is necessary not only to preserve scientific accuracy, but also to ensure that the remains are treated with dignity. Every action is a reminder that we are stewards of history, responsible for protecting the stories of those who can no longer speak for themselves. Ethical considerations extend beyond the excavation site. The analysis of DNA, for example, raises questions about privacy, ancestry, and cultural heritage. Who has the right to study these genomes? How should the information be shared? In recent years, collaborations between scientists and local communities have become essential. Descendants are often consulted, invited to participate, and informed about the findings. These partnerships create a dialogue between past and present, blending scientific discovery with respect for living cultures. The importance of ethics becomes particularly clear when discoveries reveal sensitive information. Ancient DNA can uncover familiar relationships, migrations, or traits that carry deep cultural significance. In some cases, remains may indicate lineage, ancestry, or connections that challenge long-held beliefs. Sharing this information requires sensitivity, careful explanation, and an awareness of the impact on contemporary communities. Scientists must navigate these discoveries with honesty and compassion, recognizing that bones are not just research material. They are the legacies of real lives, beyond ethical protocols. There's also a human story in the science itself. Archaeologists often describe moments of profound connection when handling ancient remains. A skeleton, long buried, may reveal evidence of care, healing, or suffering. A healed fracture suggests that someone received aid from others in their community. Signs of illness or malnutrition tell of challenges faced, and perhaps overcome by people centuries ago. These stories are not just biological. They are deeply human. They remind us that compassion, resilience, and community have always been part of the human experience. The process of preserving and studying human remains is also a race against time. Environmental conditions, natural decay, and human activity can threaten these precious sources of information. Bones buried in soil are subject to moisture, temperature shifts, and microbial action, all of which gradually degrade them. In some regions, urban development or conflict can disturb ancient burial sites, destroying invaluable evidence. This urgency heightens the responsibility of scientists. Each discovery is precious and fleeting, and it is their duty to protect it while learning from it. At the same time, bioarchaeology and archaeogenetics provide a bridge to the past that is impossible to replicate in any other way. By studying ancient remains responsibly, scientists reveal stories of survival, innovation, and connection. They uncover patterns of disease, nutrition, and movement. They reveal how societies care for their members, how communities adapted to change, and how human beings have always sought to survive and thrive in a challenging world. These discoveries are a gift to humanity, providing insight into our origins and reminding us of the continuity of life. Respect for the dead also inspires reflection for the living. Handling human remains forces us to confront our own mortality and consider the legacies we leave behind. It reminds us that every life, no matter how long ago, contributes to the story of humanity. Each individual adds a thread to the tapestry of history, and the careful study of bones allows these threads to be seen, understood, and appreciated. In this way, science becomes a form of storytelling, one that is both rigorous and profoundly moving. Ultimately, the ethical study of human remains is a balance between knowledge and reverence. It demands curiosity, but also humility. It requires technical skill, but also empathy. It challenges scientists to navigate the line between discovery and respect, ensuring that the pursuit of understanding does not come at the expense of dignity. And when handled thoughtfully, these remains provide some of the most intimate connections to our past. They teach us about resilience, adaptation, and the human experience across time and place. Every excavation, every analysis, every carefully preserved bone is a reminder that the past is alive. Ethical bioarchaeology does more than reveal facts. It honors lives, preserves history, and invites us to connect with humanity across centuries. In the careful study of human remains, science becomes a bridge between generations, cultures, and worlds, revealing that the story of humanity is not only one of survival, but also respect, compassion, and shared existence. The story of humanity is written not only in monuments and manuscripts, but also in the fragile remnants of those who lived long before us. Every skeleton, every fragment of DNA, every piece of bone carries within the record of a life, a community, and a time that has passed. Bioarchaeology and archaeogenetics allow us to listen to these silent voices, to connect with the experiences of people whose names we may never know, and to understand the world they inhabited. Through these studies, the past becomes vivid, intimate, and profoundly human. As scientists carefully uncover and analyze human remains, they reveal patterns that shape our understanding of history. Bones tell stories of resilience, adaptation, and survival. DNA traces the journeys of individuals and populations across vast landscapes and through generations. Together, these discoveries create a bridge between the lives of the past and the world we inhabit today. The significance is not just academic. It is deeply personal. Each fragment connects us to our ancestors, reminding us that the people who walked the earth thousands of years ago faced challenges, celebrated triumphs, and navigated a world that, in many ways, mirrors our own. One of the most profound aspects of studying ancient human remains is the insight it provides into human resilience. Skeletons reveal how people cope with injuries, diseases, and environmental hardships. Healed fractures, signs of malnutrition, and evidence of chronic illness tell us that survival required ingenuity, cooperation, and care. Communities adapted to changing climates, shifting landscapes, and scarcity of resources. They found ways to thrive despite adversity, and the marks left on their bodies are a testament to endurance and the human spirit. Every skeleton becomes a biography, offering lessons in resilience that resonate across time. At the same time, archaeogenetics unveils the astonishing connectivity of human populations. DNA shows us that migration and movement have always been central to human life. Populations once thought isolated were linked through trade, marriage, and shared ancestry. Genetic evidence reveals that our ancestors traveled, settled, and intermingled far more than we could have imagined. These connections challenge traditional views of history, emphasizing that human societies have always been interconnected, sharing not only genes but also ideas, technologies, and cultures. Understanding this connectivity enriches our sense of belonging and expands our perspective on what it means to be human. The study of human remains also deepens our appreciation for daily life in the past. Bones carry subtle clues about work, diet, and social structures. Repetitive movements leave marks on joints, while teeth reflect the foods people consumed. Burials show care, ceremony, and status. These traces allow us to reconstruct lives in ways that go far beyond dates and timelines. They reveal ordinary experiences alongside extraordinary ones. A skeleton can tell us of a mother who labored in the fields, a warrior who carried the burdens of defense, or a child who grew in a community bound by love and necessity. Each story adds dimension to our understanding of history, making it tangible, relatable, and deeply human. Perhaps most importantly, the study of ancient remains reminds us of our shared humanity. Every discovery challenges us to see ourselves not as separate from the past, but as part of an unbroken chain of life. Genetic connections show that distant populations were linked long before borders existed. Burials demonstrate care and compassion across cultures and centuries. Evidence of hardship, resilience, and ingenuity reflects experiences that continue to shape our species. By witnessing the lives of those who came before, we gain insight into the universality of human experience, the hopes, fears, and struggles that define us all. This knowledge also inspires reflection about the present and the future. Understanding the past allows us to see patterns in health, society, and adaptation. It shows how humans have faced challenges, overcome adversity, and found ways to survive. It highlights both the fragility and strength of life, reminding us that we are part of a continuum that stretches across generations. The insights gained from bioarchaeology and archaeogenetics are not just about the past. They are tools for understanding resilience, connection, and human potential in the world today. The process of uncovering these stories is painstaking, yet profoundly rewarding. Each excavation, each DNA analysis, and each careful study transforms fragments of bone into a narrative that speaks across centuries. The patience and dedication of scientists allow us to hear voices that were once silent. They reveal lives that were once invisible and show us that history is not static. It is alive, dynamic, and constantly being rewritten through discovery. These findings challenge assumptions, spark curiosity, and invite us to see the past in new and meaningful ways. In the end, the study of human remains offers both knowledge and perspective. It illuminates the complexity of our species, the resilience of our ancestors, and the profound connections that bind us all. Every bone, every genome, every burial site is a reminder that history is not distant or abstract. It is present within us, written in our bodies, and reflected in the world we inherit. Through bioarchaeology and archaeogenetics, the past speaks, and it asks us to listen, to honor, understand, and carry forward the stories of humanity. Ultimately, these discoveries inspire awe, reflection, and hope. They remind us that while centuries may separate us from those who came before, the threads of life, resilience, and connection endure. The past is not gone. It lives in every discovery, in every revelation, and in the understanding that we are all part of a larger story, a story that continues to unfold generation after generation. In listening to the bones and the DNA of our ancestors, we are not only the echoes of the past, but the potential of the future, illuminated by the lessons and lives of those who came before us. As we step back from the excavations, the DNA sequences, and the silent skeletons, one truth becomes clear. The past is not buried. It lives within us. Every gene, every bone, every fragment of life long gone carries a message, a whisper from ancestors who walked this earth, faced the same storms, sought the same comforts, and dreamed the same dreams. Their stories are etched not in books alone, but in the very fabric of our being. We have learned that human history is not a straight line. It twists and turns through migrations, hardships, triumphs, and survival. Our ancestors were explorers, survivors, and innovators, leaving behind more than bones. They left lessons of resilience, adaptation, and connection. Through bioarchaeology and archaeogenetics, we are given a rare gift, the ability to see ourselves reflected in those who came before, to feel the pulse of history beneath our fingertips, and understand that every individual, no matter how long ago, shaped the world we inherit today. And as science continues to uncover these stories, one question lingers. What will future generations discover about us? Will the echoes of our lives speak of courage, compassion, and curiosity, or of lost opportunity? The past is spoken. Now is our turn to live in a way worthy of the stories yet to be told.